You come home, open the door, set your bag down, and before you have even had time to take off your shoes, your dog is already running toward you, tail sweeping through the air, little whimpers slipping out, like it has been waiting all day for this exact moment. And you look at it, give it a quick pat on the head, say, "Wait a second," then turn away to deal with something else, and completely forget the promise you just made to your dog. For many people, that probably seems completely normal, right? Most of us believe that even if we are busy, even if we miss moments like that now and then, our dog will still always be there, still loving us the same way. But there is a truth people do not talk about very often. Dogs do not remember the way you think they do. Instead, their nervous system remembers how things feel, little by little, one moment at a time, very quietly. This video will show you the small things, and then the deeper things, that can slowly make a dog pull away from you emotionally, even while it is still right there beside you. Watch all the way through, and see whether you have ever done any of these things to your dog. You take your dog out for a walk, leash in hand, but your eyes are locked on your phone, moving through text messages and short videos, while your dog walks beside you, occasionally turning back to look at you and letting out a tiny, almost like it is checking whether you are still with it. A lot of people think a walk is just about exercise, just about burning off energy. But for a dog, it is often a deeply connective experience. Every scent it stops to sniff, every moment it slows down, is part of how it reads the world. And more than that, it wants to share that experience with you. When you do not respond, do not look back, do not engage, its nervous system does not receive that sense of synchrony. Over time, moments that should have felt connecting start to feel lonely instead, even though the two of you are walking side by side. You come home, and once again it runs to you, tail wagging, little excited sounds pouring out. But you are tired. You brush it off. You say, "Not right now," and keep walking. One time is not a big deal, but when this keeps happening, a dog starts learning something very specific. Its attempts to connect are not always welcomed. In behavioral science, this is part of how an attachment system adjusts. When bids for connection are not answered, the nervous system gradually reduces how often it sends those bids in the first place, trying to avoid the feeling of rejection. So one day, you open the door, and it still comes to greet you, but a little more slowly. The tail is a little lower. The sounds are a little quieter. Not because it loves you less, but because it has learned not to expect too much. You hug it. You pull it closer. You squeeze a little because it looks adorable. But in that same moment, if you look carefully, its body may stiffen just a bit. Its tongue may flick quickly across its lips. Its head may turn slightly away, and its breathing may stop feeling as even as before. In a dog's world, being held tightly from above is not naturally experienced as affection. It is closer to control, or being physically restricted. What matters here is that many dogs do not resist. They stay still. They tolerate it. But tolerating something is not the same as feeling comfortable. And every time that happens, the nervous system records something small but important. Being close to you is not always completely safe. You are playing together, and right when your dog is fully engaged with the toy, you suddenly take it away. Maybe you are just teasing. Maybe you want it to focus on you more. But the reaction often comes fast. It tightens its grip, pulls the toy back toward itself, maybe even lets out a very soft growl that you might ignore. That is not your dog being bad. That is the response of a nervous system that feels a loss of control. In behavioral biology, losing control over a valued resource is one of the strongest triggers of stress. And when that happens repeatedly, dogs may begin to guard possessions, avoid you, or become tense every time you come near. What feels like a game to you may feel like a warning sign to your dog. And if you are starting to pause a little while hearing this, that is also the moment many dog owners realize something uncomfortable. A lot of major damage in a relationship with a dog does not begin with cruelty. It begins with very ordinary habits, very familiar ones, even habits we call love. That is why, if this video is already making you see your dog a little differently, Keep watching, because the next part is where things go deeper. This is no longer just about a dog getting hurt. It is about how a dog slowly learns that it is no longer completely safe beside the person it loves most. Some days you think it is cute when your dog jumps onto the couch. You laugh, you pet it. But on another day, the exact same behavior happens and you are tired, so you raise your voice and say, "No," sharply enough that it startles and immediately folds in on itself. In your mind, that makes sense, but in your dog's nervous system, this creates an unpredictable environment. And the greatest stressor is not strictness, it is inconsistency. When a dog cannot predict how you will respond, it stops trying. It stops engaging freely and shifts into watching, bracing, and trying not to make mistakes. That is how a relationship slowly moves from attachment into defense. You know what I mean. You yell. It stops immediately. And it feels effective. But in that moment, its nervous system has already shifted into survival mode. Heart rate up, body tense, ears pulled back. Sometimes you will even hear a tiny sound slip out, almost like a reflex. In that state, the brain is not learning. It is just trying to get away from danger. So yes, your dog may obey more, but not because it understands, because it is afraid. And once fear starts replacing trust, the bond begins eroding from the inside. You come home, find a mess, and call your dog over in a heavy tone. It approaches slowly, head lowered, eyes avoiding yours, tail barely moving, maybe with a very soft little sound under its breath. A lot of people look at that and say, "It knows what it did." But that is not what is happening. Your dog is not connecting your reaction now to something it did earlier. What it is responding to is your emotional energy in the present moment. That guilty look is actually an appeasement strategy. It is trying to make you less frightening. Guests are over. You pull your dog out. You want it to behave. You want it to socialize. But its body is saying something else. Tail tucked, ears pinned back, eyes scanning quickly. Sometimes a low sound under its breath. Forcing contact does not help a dog become less afraid. It only teaches the brain that those situations come with no escape. And the next time, the reaction will come faster and stronger. Its crate, its corner, its bed. These are supposed to be the places where it can fully let go. But once you start using those places for punishment or isolation, the meaning changes. It walks in more slowly. It lies down but does not soften. The ears are still listening. The body is still tense. The space has not changed. But the feeling has. This is not one specific behavior. It is the accumulation of everything above. The times it came looking for you and you did not respond. The times it was stressed and you did not see it. The times it sent signals and you did not understand. And slowly, a distance forms. Then one day, you realize it is still there, but it no longer comes to you the way it used to. Dogs do not keep score to remember how many times you got it right or how many times you got it wrong. But their body, their emotions, and their nervous system remember something deeper than that. They remember how it feels to be with you, whether they feel understood, whether they feel soothed, safe, able to relax, able to trust that the person in front of them is truly a place they can rely on. And maybe that is also what makes a dog's love so beautiful and so humbling, because they do not ask you to be perfect. What they need is much simpler than that. They need you to notice a little more, soften a little more, and love them in a way they can actually feel, not just in the way people are used to expressing love. Because in the end, what a dog carries with it through life is not how many things you bought for it or how many times you spoiled it. It is whether its heart can settle when it is with you. So if you love your dog, love it a little more slowly, understand it a little more deeply, and be a little gentler starting today. Because to your dog, you are not just the one who takes care of it. You are its whole world.